So I've got quite a history with Amsterdam. I've been here technically over 50 times. Now, a lot of that is just coming in and out of the city, maybe only a half a day at a time. But I have wandered the streets here and seen a lot of things. I know this town pretty well.
Let me start off by saying that Amsterdam is one of the world's most magnificent cities, but there's also a bipolar nature to this place. For all the great things this city offers, it's also a place with some vices. In this video, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I'll tell you what I love about this city and the things that I really don't. Right out of the gate, Amsterdam is stunningly beautiful. There's eye candy around every corner. It's the streets, the architecture, the canals. Imagine picture-perfect postcard scenes everywhere you look. And a lot of it is in this condensed area. It's easy to walk around and take it all in. Honestly, Amsterdam might be my top choice of any city in the world to just put on a pair of shoes and spend the day walking around the entire city. But with Amsterdam, there's a yin and a yang for almost everything. Yes, it's beautiful here, but it's also crowded with tourists. Even during the off-season, you'll find visitors from every corner of the world. This here's the Anne Frank House. It's one of the most popular attractions in Amsterdam. Over 1.2 million visitors come here each and every year. You'll want to reserve your tickets online well before you arrive, and expect crowds here. I've never been to or even passed by this place when there hasn't been a long line.
The bike riders and just the culture of bicycling here in Amsterdam and throughout the Netherlands is admirable, but you do have to have your head on a swivel. They can be very aggressive and even mean at times if you step in front of them, so just be aware.
While you're here, rather than just watch the bicycles go by as a pedestrian, you may as well join the fun. It seems like everyone is on a bicycle here in the Netherlands, and bike culture is deeply ingrained in society. The average Dutch person cycles about 1,000 kilometers per year. That's over 620 miles. You'll find bike lanes and trails everywhere. There's over 3,500 kilometers of bike paths in the country and plenty of places to rent or park your bicycle. There's a good chance your hotel has a bicycle you can either rent or borrow for the day. The only thing I found a little bit odd, speaking from my American point of view, is that the majority of people here don't seem to wear a bicycle helmet.
Back in the 1600s into the 1700s, Amsterdam was going through its Gilded Age, and it was really one of the wealthiest cities in the world at the time. And you see all these beautiful homes lining these canals. And this is where the aristocracy lived. To this day, a lot of these homes are worth a lot of money, and they are beautiful. It's beautiful to walk around and just take a look at the architecture. Of course, the best way to do it is on a boat, taking a tour where they'll go through and show you a lot of these places.
Over the years, I've been on a number of canal tours. Yes, it's a very touristy thing to do in Amsterdam, but it's also a great way to see a lot of the city from a unique perspective. If the weather is good, and that's not always a guarantee, but if it is, see if you can find a smaller open-air boat with a local tour operator. But even in bad weather, these covered glass boats are still a good experience. Canal tours typically cost around 20 euros for an hour-long experience, and I do recommend them.
Some people love the smell of pot, marijuana. I don't. In fact, I really don't like it. And that's the thing. Here in Amsterdam, the smell of pot in the air is kind of omnipresent. It's always kind of waffling around. It's one of the things this city is best known for. So if you love the smell of pot, you're going to love it here. But for me and many others who just kind of detest that distinct marijuana smell, you're just going to have to live with it because it's tough to escape.
Here in the Netherlands, it's no secret. Anytime you see a coffee shop, it's really just a cannabis shop. These are government-regulated cannabis cafes where you can buy and smoke weed. And some may also sell you a cup of coffee, but that's really not what they're known for. Now, I'm not a marijuana user, so I don't have much insight, but I can tell you there's pretty much a coffee shop around every corner in Amsterdam. What I can tell you more about is the Dutch cuisine. There's a lot of delicious food to try. And while the Netherlands is certainly not as renowned as Italy or France for its culinary culture, you are going to want to try a few things while you're here. First up is gehaktbal. This is just a big old meatball, but it's slow cooked and usually served on a bed of mashed potatoes called hutspa. Totally a comfort food dish, but delicious and highly recommended. You're also going to want to try friet. That's Dutch for fries. It's generally believed that French fries originated just down the road in Belgium. But up here in the Netherlands, they have a rendition where it's topped with mayonnaise and shredded Parmesan that is pretty good. You're going to want to try it. This next place, called the Pancake Bakery, is very popular. It's located like a 3-minute walk from the Anne Frank house and can get crowded at times. Dutch pancakes are very similar to crepes, maybe slightly more thick, but much more like a crepe than a fluffy American pancake. Here you'll choose between a savory pancake, something like ham and cheese, or a sweet pancake like you see here with apples, cinnamon, and ice cream. Finally, we have the famous Dutch stroopwafels. This little place called Melly's in central Amsterdam serves them up fresh. You can have yours lathered in chocolate and topped with meringue like you see here, or dressed up any way you like, but you've got to try a warm stroopwafel while you're here in Amsterdam. Finally, let me just mention my favorite Dutch candy. The Dutch love black licorice, so if you love black licorice, you're in the right country. Head to any grocery or convenience store and you'll find a wide variety of black licorice snacks. My favorite is called skoolkritst, and I'm probably mispronouncing that, but this is a delicious and addicting little candy.
A few things to know about the people here in the Netherlands. First of all, they're extremely tall, the tallest in the world. Men average 6 foot in height. The women are very tall as well. I feel quite short when I'm just walking around here in the Netherlands. Another thing, they speak incredibly good English. And some of my Dutch friends have credited this to subtitles, whereas in some places like Germany and France, where it's a bigger country, all of their movies and TV are dubbed. Here in the Netherlands and some other small countries like Norway, Sweden, they have subtitles. And so at an early age, people learn the English pronunciation very well. And virtually everybody speaks good English, all the signage. It's very easy to communicate in English, probably more so than any other country in Europe, I would say. I think the Dutch are extremely friendly. I've got a few friends here. I've done a lot of business here. It's easy to work with the Dutch people, and they're very warm. But there are a couple of exceptions. They do have an edge on a couple of small things. And I say this with all seriousness, and it's kind of funny, but if you cut them off while riding a bike, or you otherwise walk in front of them, you are going to get yelled at in Dutch. They are aggressive on those bicycles. The other aspect to be aware of that may come up if you are spending a lot of time here in the Netherlands is they do have a different view on customer service. They kind of have an inflexible, hard edge. I mean, in America, we have this mantra that the customer is always right, and you'll bend over backwards with customer service to help a customer. And that is not always the case here in the Netherlands. Just a little bit inflexible, and it's just part of their culture, just an interesting quirk. I had an issue once with baggage on an airplane, and a situation where my bag was just a couple of pounds over. In the United States, it would have been no problem, and here in the Netherlands, they were very inflexible, charged me several €100 to send one more bag on the plane. And there's been a few other small incidents where I've seen some inflexibility with regards to customer service. And this is something that they're known for. I'm not making this up. This is, you go on to Reddit and elsewhere, and yeah, the Dutch, they do kind of have some different views on customer service. So be aware of that. It may come up if you spend some significant time in the Netherlands.
It's time to talk about some of the famous museums in Amsterdam. I'm just going to scratch the surface here and briefly mention 3 of the most popular museums. First up is this place, the Rembrandt House Museum. It's located in the very house where Rembrandt lived and worked for nearly 20 years. And this museum offers a fascinating glimpse into his daily life. As you walk through, you'll see reconstructed rooms furnished just as they would have been in the 17th century. You see all sorts of paintings, And you can also visit his studio where he painted some of his most famous works. Next, you have the Rijksmuseum, which is arguably the most important art museum in all the Netherlands. And this grand building is an architectural masterpiece in and of itself, but inside you'll find over 8,000 objects of art and history. You have some of the most famous paintings from Vermeer, including the Milk Maiden that you see here. The museum's centerpiece is Rembrandt's Night Watch, an enormous painting, and you'll also want to check out the picturesque historical library. Finally, there's the Van Gogh Museum. It's home to the world's largest collection of his art. Interestingly, it doesn't have his most famous painting, Starry, Starry Night. You'll have to visit the MoMA in New York City for that one. But even without that painting, the Van Gogh Museum is a can't miss. It's truly one of my favorite art museums anywhere in the world and includes Van Gogh's sunflower paintings, self-portraits, and so much more. The museum takes you chronologically through Van Gogh's artistic life. And by the time you get to the top floor, you're looking at the masterpieces that Van Gogh painted during the final year of his life. I found it a moving and emotional experience to walk through this museum. Make sure to reserve your tickets online before you come. You don't want to miss this one. Maybe you've walked around Amsterdam, been to a few museums, had something to eat, and now it's time to do some shopping. I can promise you, Amsterdam will not disappoint. There are a plethora of stores and shops where you can buy anything from crafts to clothing to souvenirs. In fact, I think Amsterdam is one of the best locations in all of Europe to pick up quality souvenirs. You'll certainly pass by stores that sell high-quality Delft porcelain, and these are great collectibles and gifts. During spring and summer, Amsterdam enjoys those endless days when the sun lingers late into the evening. As day turns to dusk, the city glows with a quiet beauty. But as with so much here, there's a contrasting side. Some of the nightlife right in the city's heart may not match the vibe you're after.
So behind me here is the red light district here in Amsterdam, and this is one thing that Amsterdam is known for. Come here in the daytime and there's really nothing to see. At nighttime, especially on the weekends, this whole area turns into a whole different place. A lot of people, a lot of tourists drinking, and of course the ladies in the windows. Now, unlike a lot of cities where the red light district is kind of in one obscure corner of town, here in Amsterdam it takes up a whole area in the central part of the city. So if you come to Amsterdam, keep that in mind, especially on evenings and weekends.
So maybe you come here to Amsterdam for a few days, but now you want to get out of the city on a day trip. Here are some great options. First up is Keukenhof. If you're here in April or early May, don't miss it. This place is unreal, over 79 acres and more than 7 million flowers, mostly tulips. It's one of the world's biggest and most beautiful flower gardens, but it's only open during the peak spring season, then it's done for the year. Next is Delft, about 45 minutes south of Amsterdam. This quiet little town is full of charming canals, and it feels like a living museum of Dutch culture. It's the birthplace of those famous Delft blue ceramics, and to me, it's like a smaller, calmer version of Amsterdam, with fewer tourists, beautiful architecture, and canals lined with old houses. And there's plenty of great restaurants also. Then there's Kinderdijk, located about an hour away past the city of Rotterdam. This iconic windmill site is open all year. You can stroll along the canals, take stunning photos, and even step inside one of the historic mills, which still operate today. It's an impressive glimpse into the Dutch battle against rising waters. If you're feeling more adventurous, you could head down to Belgium. Antwerp is only about 90 minutes south of Amsterdam, or you can keep going on for an extra hour to Bruges, another stunning city to explore. And while you're there, don't forget to try some Belgian chocolate and waffles. Or maybe Germany is calling your name. It's about a 3-hour drive to the Düsseldorf-Köln area, also known as the Rhine-Ruhr region. And there's a ton of stuff to see here, including the famous Köln Cathedral, but just keep in mind, Germany or Belgium might turn into more than just a day trip. You'll probably want to stay overnight. In summary, you've got a lot of great options. Whether for a day trip or an overnight excursion, Amsterdam is a perfect jumping off point. But like so much else, there's a yin and a yang, a dual side to all of this. You see, you're going to need a rental car for these trips. Some places like Kinderdijk aren't really reachable by public transportation at all. I know many Americans have this romanticized idea about train travel and believe that they can just take public transportation to any place in Europe. But that's not always the case. Often the train is much slower, sometimes twice as long, and you might not save much money. Since we're not sugarcoating anything, you should know driving in Amsterdam and around the Netherlands can be a bit tricky, more so than in other parts of Europe. You've got to contend with the traffic. There's also lots of pedestrians and bicycles and streetcars which can sometimes swallow up your lane. But perhaps most frustrating are the speed cameras. There are a lot of them in the Netherlands, and you can get fined even if you're just going a couple of kilometers over the speed limit, which is sometimes unposted. And you might not even know you've been caught until you get home and receive a fancy letter in the mail. This is your citation. Of course, you can ignore this, but next time you come to the Netherlands, you'll be stopped at immigration, escorted by security to a private room, and forced to pay the fee if you want to enter the country. And yes, I know all this from first-hand experience. So our time in Amsterdam is almost over, but whether you're arriving or leaving, you'll be going through Schiphol Airport. This is Amsterdam's main international hub, one of the busiest airports in Europe. And like the city itself, it is full of contradictions. It's amazing in so many ways, but it can be frustrating too. It's easy to reach by train or rental car, and inside it's clean and modern with lots of shops, good food options, and open seating areas to relax before your flight. If you've got airline status, the lounges are fantastic. The KLM Crown Lounge is one of my all-time favorites. The airport definitely has a certain swagger and panache to it. But the layout can be confusing. It's an old hub and spoke design, and even with good signs, it's easy to get turned around. Plus, there's a lot of walking involved, especially if you're flying budget airlines like EasyJet out of Departure Hall 3. That area can get extremely crowded with long lines and poor seating options, which just adds to the stress if you're in a rush. From one side of this airport to the other can literally take half an hour, not including security. So give yourself plenty of time, especially if you have a layover. This isn't the airport for a quick connection. As you're leaving Amsterdam, don't forget to peek out your plane window if you can. Seeing the city's unique layout from above is truly something special. Like any place, Amsterdam has its ups and downs and its contradictions. But overall, it's an incredible city worth experiencing at least once. And let me know in the comments, do you agree with my take on Amsterdam, or did I miss something? And if you found this video helpful, give it a like, subscribe for more, and thank you so much for watching.